You know, you go away, you get injured, and everything just goes wrong. Hello and welcome to tonight's show. My name is Guy, the technically challenged, and you're watching the Mapping It Out for Battle Maps and for DEIOS. Welcome to the show. Great to have you with us. As usual, it's packed full of amazing and awesome and wonderful stuff, and I cannot wait to share it with you. There's been some interesting little developments which push us forward, ever forward, as well as some amazing developments which I personally think is one of the most significant movements forward since the Path Tool. So yes, some exciting stuff. So we've got roadmaps coming up, we've got events coming up, some amazing events coming up I'm going to talk to you about with Till, of course, and it's all happening. It's all happening. Of course, community spotlight as well. Now, if you have a question, please remember to put the word question in caps, as mentioned there in, well, as you can see, others have already done in the chat. Put question in caps in front of your question so that I can see it, because I've got all my screens busy running to bring you the show tonight. All right. So now you know the groundwork. Let's get on with the show. And that means I need to bring in Till. Till, how are you doing?
I'm great. A bit tired, but generally great. Thanks for having me. Hi and hello, everyone. Glad to have you back, Guy.
I'm absolutely pleased to be back. Thank you. And there was a question already from chat saying, "What, Guy? What did you think of Till's solo mapping it out?" Oh, amazing. I mean, to do it on your own, hats off to you. But I do feel that you probably still need to have a host with you, only so that I can save my own job here, folks.
Yes, please don't go away again.
Absolutely. Who needs ribs anyway? Glad you're okay. Thank you for that comment. You actually need ribs for a lot of different things. You'd be amazed. Anyway, 2 months on, everything is sorted and okay. Right, Till, we are talking about all kinds of things tonight. And the first thing is we're going to have a look at the roadmap. So that puts us into the category of news, doesn't it?
Yes, that's news.
And so that means some music.
Sure.
All right, here we go. Oh my goodness, there we go. Love the music. Okay, right.
It actually didn't work. I was trying to do the there, now it works, but I couldn't do it.
There you go. Okay.
Sorry.
Not sure what Till was trying to do there, but that's okay. We love him. Anyway, Till, we're talking about DungeonFog news, and that means we are talking about this roadmap, which you have prepared. Now, the roadmap's slightly different from what we normally see. Is that correct?
Slightly. So we're getting closer and closer to the end of the first half of the year. So I have been asked to make an updated roadmap, look at more details on the roadmap. So for the Battlemap Editor, we have this one, and there is even a more detailed one for the DEIOS City Map Maker later down the road. So what's happening here? Well, let's look at what have we done. We've updated the community hub. Brilliant. I think it is, me personally, I think it is a great success. I'm super happy with it. I can see so many people creating really cool profiles there and sharing maps. So thank you all for your participation. The marketplace, we have grown the marketplace with some artists, Planet Hoppers, and Map Cartographer. Forgotten Adventures has uploaded even more and more assets. Kaora has added more packs to it. So that is done as well. And now, slowly but surely, we are also getting ready for map packs. So not asset packs, but packs that include assets and maps with those assets, which is the next step. And we're ready for it. All we need to do is prep stuff for it and well, get the artists to do their part. But yeah, that's happening too. Backgrounds, well, backgrounds are amazing. We're going to talk more about backgrounds because I'm completely in love with them, and I hope you enjoy them too. We've released the Better Snap to Grid, which is super helpful. And there's even more to come with it, because we're now getting a better feeling of workflows with the grid. So expect more in that regards. So what's coming up? Q3, we are still working on it. We had a bit of a setback because we weren't as fast, and some of our team members got sick and injured. So we were a bit slower than expected on the asset manager, but this one is, we're making quite the progress there. I'm pretty sure maybe next month we can already show a first prototype of it. But we are quite confident that we will release it in Q3. Another thing that's happening is we have been approached by several universities who are asking for team licenses, so they can teach map making at universities, which is just lovely, brilliant. And we're going to do some pack cleanup alongside with the new asset manager release. Q4, now Q4 gets more or less, bye guy, vague, because that depends very much on how much time do we spend on Q3 stuff. But what we want to do in Q4 is update our paths and walls, update our doors and windows. It is sitting there, we just need to finish it up. We've already started on coordinates, which basically means that when you select a prop or a texture or whatever, you can actually align it with others alongside the same coordinate XY, which makes it much easier to position things. And you then can also give textures offsets. Like if you don't like a texture to be there, you can offset the texture, rotate it a little bit, which would also be really cool. And of course, as soon as we have at least the paths done, the V6 renderer is starting. So Andy's already working on it in the back end, but he's still dealing with a lot of other things, so it always gets parked and pushed back a little bit. But eventually we will have the time to put all our attention into V6.
Fantastic. A lot of comments. So the snap to grid, everyone, well, a lot of people in chat as well as myself say it is a fantastic idea to have incrementally broken the grid down. It's a lot of fun. Really making life a lot better. Right, so let's unpack this very quickly. What is the pack cleanup?
So with the asset manager, there will be a much better way to organize assets. You can structure them to your own packs, to your own collections. You can already do that in the existing tool, but the existing tool is just old, outdated, and not very user-friendly. So the new one is going to be much better for that. However, with us creating monthly new packs, with us creating monthly now new textures, backgrounds, paths, and all that stuff, the way that they are organized is getting quite problematic, I would say. It's really hard. You can use the search bar to find stuff, but apart from that, you really have to remember in which pack an asset is. So we already started with additional kind of meta tags to connect them to each other. You will see that when you're using the preset systems that you get already recommended assets for the map that you're working on. But I think we will have to, and actually I'm dreading this task, but because it's probably, I don't know how many assets are out there already. I would say 12,000 probably. Someone, and I have the inkling that this means me, will have to sit down, go through all the assets in all the packs, and find a way how to organize them in a way that they are easier to access, easier to understand. So that's what the pack cleanup means.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite the project. All right. So that's that one. There's another question there. Right, which actually does tie into this one as well. So, question is from Damien, the DM, is V6 synonymous with DEIOS integration or just a requirement for DEIOS integration?
It is a requirement, because unless we have migrated our renderer into the new V6, it will not be possible to run the renderer inside an application. So to have that, we need to bring our current renderer, which is just designed to run on the internet, in the web. We need to turn that into a different type of rendering so that it can run offline.
Okay, makes sense. And the doors and windows, is that about being able to scale the doors and the windows?
The doors and windows is the bane of my existence, because I can't remember how often we have pushed that task down on our roadmap. I think it probably follows us since 2019. And it is, unfortunately, it is one of those things that is too time consuming to just do it in a week. And yet too important to just ignore it. So we're always dragging it along. Yes, the answer is we want to change the doors and windows tool so that you define the door width and the asset scales, so that you don't have to pick between a single door, double door, but you can actually, and especially for windows, where you would like to have a long window front. So yes, that's what this is about, updating it so that it works better with giving you more variety and more adjustability when placing doors, and also, of course, behaving correctly when a door is opened, closed, with lights and stuff like that.
Would this mean potentially that any asset could become a door or a window? Would we see the current door windows becoming just assets? No.
No, it would rather mean that we are going to create kind of mini paths for the doors. But there are several concepts that we had discussed. I'm not sure how outdated they are as we speak today, because I remember, again, we've been putting this on the roadmap probably 2 years ago, right? And we've always pushed it back. So now with the paths and with the walls update, the technical requirements will change, which means that we will probably have to first dig out the old concepts and check whether or not they're still working with the existing system.
Something that's not mentioned here is the lighting tool. Is that because it will work in V6 in a very different way?
It's not mentioned here because there is currently nothing that we're going to do with the lighting tool. There are a few things that are placeholders or things that we can squeeze in if we find the time, but they are so uncertain that I didn't want to put them on the roadmap. The way that light is rendered will mostly work the same in the V6 renderer. However, with shader techniques and ray tracing, there is a bit like more that the V6 renderer can do to it. But basically, I would say as we speak today, it means the lighting system will just be ported, and as long as we're happy with it, it remains from the usability and what you can do with it exactly the same. But for example, directional lighting, where you have a light like a stretched light source, like neon lights, they are not possible in this renderer version, but they will be possible in the next renderer version.
Alrighty, those are the questions from the audience. Keep those questions coming. So now we've got the roadmap, we've got an idea of where we're going, what's happening, all very, very exciting, I must admit. And I have a question for you, Sil, because there are multiple markets that do role playing. The US is the biggest market, followed closely by the UK, although some would argue that that's part of Europe. Japan is growing, Australia's got their community. But within Europe, Germany is seen as the big role-playing community. How big is the German role-playing community, or the German-speaking role-playing community? Let me
German-speaking, yes. So if you include Swiss and Austria, because they're also German-speaking, I was trying to find an answer to that question. I don't know. Like. There are some sources on the internet. They might be terribly outdated. So I can only say that for DungeonFog, it's about only 6% of user base from DungeonFog actually comes from the German-speaking regions. However, with long traditions of the Schwarze Auge, so what is it, the Dark Eye, the Black Eye, the Dark Eye, Midgard, now D&D is getting much stronger in Germany as well. I'm fairly certain that the numbers, like the old numbers, were somewhere around 650,000 role players in Germany. I would say that they are I'm pretty confident to say that they are around 1 million or probably 1.5 million as we speak today.
That's a significant number of role players. So with that in mind, there's a big event that's coming up. So if you are a German speaker or someone who just understands German, for that matter, you don't have to actually speak. There's an event coming up which DungeonFog is part of, and it is called Flucht aus Keldrach. I think that's how you pronounce it. Till, talk to us. What is this all about?
So, if you remember back in the beginning of the year, we announced that we are teaming up with Open Brick Source, which is a brick. Jesus, I try to avoid saying Lego because it's not Lego. It's a
plastic connecting brick builder
system, and we have been working with them on some projects for them. So they already have done some stuff with us, but there is more stuff coming this summer. And as part of that collaboration, we also decided that we want to run a stream in June. And Sebastian, who is our contact at Open Bricks, he approached me and he said, "Hey, would you like to run a charity stream for the Animal Park Raumberg?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, that's a really cool idea. Let's do something in that regards." So for the past weeks, we've been putting together quite the massive event for all the German speakers. This is going to be a lot of fun. It is the Spread the Fog. It means escape from, let's say, basement dragon. Cellar Drake.
Cellar Drake, I think.
Yeah, probably. So it's going to be an escape D&D game with quite the strong cast. I'm pretty impressed by the people who are there. So I'm hiding. It's not you, Guy, although it very much looks like you. This is Sebastian, who's going to run the game. Where's my finger? There. So this is Sebastian, and we have a cast of well, pretty great, pretty amazing vloggers, creators, streamers. Hattie from Against the Odds will be there. Then Breeding Unicorn. So Melissa is going to play. Typically, Lottie is going to play. Then we have two, I would say, quite known people, Shimtex and Seal, gaming and blogging. And we have quite the amazing support. So it's Against the Odds is there. Rocket Beans TV will be part of it. Spread the Flame, which is kind of a network of role players, is supporting it as well. And there are still negotiations with some other big fish. I can't say too much right now, but this is quite the cast with amazing people, a lot of fun, and of course DungeonFog maps. So if you have the time, if you want to check it out, it's on June the 9th at 4 p.m. Middle European, Central European time. It's going to be on our Twitch stream. So it's Twitch TV/DungeonFog. And yeah, and if you have the means to be there and you want to support, there are several ways and occasions and possibilities to do something good for the Animal Park Rauenberg, because they had quite the hard time during COVID, because they had to lock down for all the COVID duration, which was putting quite the strain on them. So now they're trying to get back up, and they have a lot of lovely animals that they need to feed and take care of. So if we can do something good for them, which we are doing during the stream, then of course having more support is always better.
Sounds lovely. All right, that's the 9th of June. There's something that's happening a little bit sooner. As in
Yes.
the next 3 days. And that's going to be happening in Birmingham in the UK. And that, of course, is the UK Games Expo. Now, this is a lot of fun. It's giant. It's 3 days. And you have a booth there in Hall 1.
Yes, I have such an amazing friend and YouTuber creator who's sharing a booth with me. I don't know who that is. It might be, it sounds something like it must be a great game master.
Grey Game Master.
A grey game master. Yes, Guy and I, you and I, we're sharing a booth at UK Games Expo. We will be showing, in our corner of the booth, we will of course be showing maps. We have some promo actions running there. We have some events coming up there. And of course, on the other part of the booth, there is Guy with all his amazing work. And you will be able to chat with us about the book Epic Locations.
That's right. So the book Epic Locations, if you don't know about it, but I must just admit that chat had certainly made me laugh. The suggestion was not Great Game Master, it's Grandma the Game Master, or Graham the Game Master, I suppose. I think they may all be appropriate, sadly. Anyway, we're talking about Epic Locations. That's the book that you and I wrote that was on Kickstarter. You can still pre-order copies of it if you so desire, because the book is nearly complete. It's about to go off to printing, but there's a lot of stuff in that book, Till, that you had to make, because the book contains lots of illustrations and things, but primarily it contains lots. Well, the book doesn't contain lots of maps, but there's a supplement that contains lots of maps.
So, I mean,
and you had to make them all.
Right. For those of you who have no idea what the book is about, it's about, well, surprise, creating epic locations. And Guy and I have banged our heads together to figure out how we can write a book about ways to organize, structure, conceptualize locations that are memorable for your players. And we've poured so many ideas in there. And of course, part of that process and part of my expertise is how do you make maps for such locations? So we are talking about the creational process. It's not a book that shared, like it's not Epic Battle Maps Volume 2. It's a book that talks about how you can create those locations and maps. And there are several ideas, concepts, advice how you can do it. But of course, for each of those locations, it's much easier to show what you're talking about than just talk about it. So I've been creating maps for the chapters of the book. as well as a supplement of the Kickstarter campaign, people wanted to have additional maps per location. So I've been busily working on maps.
It's over 30 maps that you had to make.
Yes.
Which is a significant amount of maps to have to make, folks, especially when you've got deadlines and things looming where it's like, oh, we've got to get the maps made before the end of the month because it's got to go here and then it's got to go there for printing. So Till, part of what helped you do that, and here are some of the maps that you made.
Yes, I brought some samples. So those are now maps that are part of the map pack. Not sure which of those maps makes it into the book. That is still to be decided. Yeah. But here are some samples, and as you can see, all of them, which is great because I was able to test the new background system and enjoy the new background system, and a lot of things that experience that I made through making those maps. By the way, before you switch, do you see how that statue shadow sinks into the water? Oh, I love that detail. A lot of that stuff, a lot of that experience went into improving backgrounds and working with it. So I would say 90% of the maps are now using the backgrounds, using the background system. And it was kind of a fruitful symbiosis between having to do the maps for the book, as well as creating new biomes for our template system. And the result is, I think, to everyone's favor, because now we have a lot of amazing presets for map making, and hopefully, I hope you like them, amazing maps for the book.
Absolutely. So the backgrounds are pretty much now done. Is that right?
The nature backgrounds are done. Because I'm not sure if I can think of. I'm pretty sure the chat will come up with stuff that I've missed, but I think I'm quite complete on nature biomes, outdoor stuff, because with the recent, and recent I mean like 30 minutes ago, before I was working my ass off today to get everything ready for the stream. With today, you can find 3 additional biomes in there, which is Arctic. It's cut off here, but you will see it. It's Arctic, jungle, and volcano. Each coming with additional 3 maps, one free map and 2 premium maps, and a ton. Like I forgot to count them, unfortunately, so I can't tell you, but I would say about 40, 50 new textures and background images and stuff you can do with them. And I also brought a few examples into the stream. So on the next page, I think we can see how they look like. So this is a sample for the Arctic. Then we have volcano in the center and jungle behind me. And again, the cool thing about that is if you haven't been using backgrounds yet, if you now launch the dashboard and you pick create a new map, you can pick one of those presets here exactly, and you get the preset map, which you just can adjust and make fit your game. And of course, all of them are in the segment is called Backgrounds Nature. In the prop picker, in the brush tool, everywhere. Just type into the search of your tool, type background, and you will find a lot of stuff that works absolutely amazing with the other stuff. They're all tailored to work together. They're all hand drawn by Tony to create maps that really look like they're completely purely handmade. And that are, I think players will have a hard time to tell where they come from. Did you buy them on the internet, or where did those maps come from? And you can proudly say, I made them.
Exactly. there's a request here, not so much of a question, from Ben Clayton. Please, can we have some stuff for things happening in the treetop villages and things like that? We need some big branches. Now, Till, that's a very good suggestion, but where should Ben take that suggestion? Because there's actually an official process.
Yes, we have so there's an official suggestion board. If you go to dungeonfog.com/suggestions, surprise, then you can put them down, and others can vote on them. Also, I think, I'm not sure, but on our Discord there might be also a suggestion board where you can put stuff in there. That is a great idea, and actually that is something that I've been chatting with Matt Cartographer about, because they have treetop like rope bridges and platforms and stuff like that. So I didn't want to do something in that regards if Matt Cartographer is already doing something like that. But yeah, that's a great suggestion, and we'll take it. It might make it into one of our monthly prop packs. Now,
I would almost see it as a path tool.
Well, some of it might be a path tool, but the platforms might make more sense
as props.
As props, right? Exactly. So coming back to the question, are we done with backgrounds? I think for nature, for outdoor, yes. So what we are now going to start is indoor, like structures. So that's going to be the next thing that we're going to tackle.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. All right. From your maps to the community maps.
To the community maps.
And we've got some amazing, amazing community maps here. Just some really cool artwork. Now, Till, just remind me, where do you pick these community maps from? Because we've got 5, which is what we do every month. So where do you pick them from? Just in case people are new to the stream and they just want to know, how can they get their map onto the stream?
On a weekly basis, we look into the community hub. So if you go to dungeonfog.com/hub, you will find a dashboard full of maps that are recently posted. And we are looking at the ones that end up in the hottest map section. We just, each and every one of our team on a weekly basis goes in there, checks for new maps that have been released, and if they made it into the hottest map section. So how do you make it into the hottest map section? That's very simple. You need to make your map public, and then you need to convince the community that this is a great map, because then they will clone it, which will kind of push the algorithm, or they will leave a like for it. And if a map is liked and cloned by a lot of people, it slowly wanders into the hottest map section, where we then take a look. And then from there on, it's a stuff pick where everyone picks a map that we personally like. And at the end, we all come together, we compare maps, we say, hey, what do you think about that? Oh, I have that one on my list too. And out of those maps, we then pick 5 where we think they deserve our monthly community spotlight, and which also comes with this amazing badge added to your profile. So if you have been picked, then you should find this badge on your hub profile page.
There you go. There you go. Lord God suggests to make the hottest map in the community hub, make a map of lava. And if you think that joke is bad, wait until DEIOS in a few moments, where I've got some amazing jokes that I put together just for the show. Anyway, let's get on to looking at these great artists. First up, we have a forest path. Now, when you say forest path, what comes to mind? Well, maybe Boxcar Cat, who's the creator, has a solution. Maybe you think of this. Now, something that's very important to bear in mind with these maps. I mean, this map looks beautiful from a distance. So zoomed out like this, it looks absolutely gorgeous. There's some lovely lighting going on in here. There's a density of those trees from all over the prop packs, I think, Till.
Yes, very good lighting. I think the way that the light sources are placed is very good.
Absolutely. It's definitely a forest path. But something to bear in mind is that some maps, when you zoom out, you actually lose all the nuance because it's such a big map. So sometimes you might see a map here and go, yeah, it's an alright map. Go and have a look at it on the community hub, and you'll find that it actually works at the scale at which the players are going to be seeing the map, which is in a 1 inch grid, zoomed in, rather than this fully zoomed out version. So bear that in mind as we go through these maps.
And here's something about this map. It makes me specifically proud. This one is already using the new backgrounds, which is why you can zoom in down to the grid level, and it still looks hand-drawn. And it's a lovely map, and I think a great example of how easily you can create your own amazing looking maps with the new presets and background system.
Absolutely. Okay, so this next name will mean probably nothing to any of us. It certainly didn't mean anything to me. Sunblight Forge Level by Kane. I think that's pronounced Kane. It's a facility of some kind. Till, do you have any more information on this for us?
Well, it's apparently the Forge level, but that's it.
Okay, great. Thanks for being on the stream.
Well, the reason why this map made it, I think everyone can see how cleverly the light has been used, how nicely the colors work together. Even on a zoomed out level, this map works just brilliant. Now, when you clone the map and you zoom in, you can see that there is so much detail in every room. I have no idea what Sunblight is or why it has a Forge level. But I think if you need a map that is kind of in the realm, somehow I always feel like it's a bit dwarvish. It looks a little bit like an armorsmith, dwarven armorsmith shop. So it might end up in one of my home games because my people are going to the dwarf soon. So who knows?
There you go. What I love about this map is that if you look at the entrance, so just above my finger here, you can see there are these 3 doors, and you kind of go, well, what are those 3 doors for? The one is the entrance passageway, and the ones on either side give archers or crossbowmen access to the windows, which have been very cleverly made as those V shapes to symbolize the arrow slits. Or crossbow.
Well, and apparently when you look at it, also to people who are trespassing, because
absolutely, yes,
with the slits inside.
Internally, yeah. Correct, yes. It's a lovely little addition of hero actual functional things being added to the map. Anyway, right, next up, medical lab facility. And let me tell you, this prompted me to ask Till a question for which the answer I was not prepared. The answer will shock you. This is by Gajus Maximus, I think.
Yes, I love it. I'm always so happy when I see sci-fi or cyberpunk maps. So this is the medical lab facility, and I think it looks amazing, especially with the really detailed road signs placed, like the street markings. And it's using a lot of our sci-fi cyberpunk assets here. So also the lighting, like if you look at how the shadows are cast from the lanterns, it's super solid.
Yeah, this is a great one. And it prompted the question, how many sci-fi maps or sort of cyberpunky kind of maps are there in the community hub versus fantasy maps? Because I would have assumed that it would have been perhaps say 30% or 20% of the maps being science fiction and the rest being fantasy, because fantasy is usually the most popular. But that's not the case. Till,
no, it's not the case. I must confess, I ran a very, when you asked me the question, I ran a very quick search, like database search on it. So my numbers might be a bit skewed in terms of output, because I should have done a more appropriate filtering to it. But it's about, what did I say? It's about 10,000 maps are fantasy. And about 6,500 are actually sci-fi or cyberpunk, or somewhere have the tag sci-fi in it.
Sci-fi. That's significant.
Yeah.
That's very significant. I thought it was going to be lower. Next up is an example of a map that looks better when you zoom in, I think personally, but that's just my personal opinion. It is simply titled Temple, Sanctum of the Erudite Eye. And that was by ARM, #5389.
Yep. An Egyptian map, a desert map. Really nice one. Yeah. Again, as you said, when you zoom in, it works better. I would highly recommend to check out, if you want to update the map, check out the new desert templates, desert presets. They might instantly add to it. But it has I do like the map also by the architecture. It has a very intricate room system.
I do like that.
The central temple. So it's completely understandable that it has made it into the hottest map section. And a lot of people have cloned it and liked it. So there you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you need a temple, you now have one. Then rounding out tonight's top 5 is another one called Fight Club MS7. And that's by Mokatam.
Yeah, Mokatam's back.
That's right.
This is just one, and I had to pick one as an example. There is a whole city laid out like this, and the Fight Club is just one of the images that got recently into the hottest map section. That's why it's there. But when you go to the hub and you look at this map, you will see that there are, I'm not sure how many. By feeling, I would say a dozen at least other maps associated to it that all show different areas. So, and again, very, very skillfully crafted when you look at the textures, the lighting, the props, the rooftops, all that stuff is really, really nicely done. So if you're ever looking for like close quarters city maps, where you would like to run combat in, have a look at those maps by Mokatam. They're really good.
I do like the horse and cart for scale, because it automatically says that these doors and things are bigger than just 5 foot.
This here. No, wrong finger.
Yes, it's just above your head. So there you are. All right, those are the Community Hub maps for this evening. I think they were all fantastic. Chat is currently discussing Doctor Who sets and Star Trek assets. And you go, those are great ideas, but there's a licensing thing that comes with all of those. Anyway, something to look at in the future, perhaps. Are you a fan of Doctor Who, Till?
I am such a big fan, but I must say David Tennant is the only one. I can live with, what was he called? Matt Smith? Was he called Matt Smith?
Matt Smith, yeah. He was and still is called that.
Yeah.
I don't think his parents have changed his name yet.
Yeah, that's like, but David Tennant forever. Sorry.
There you go. All right, folks. That's it from us for DungeonFog Battlemap Editor this month. We will be back next month, of course, with new and more updates. Coming up next, of course, we switch over to Project DEIOS, where we find out why the Romans would be happy, and you get some new assets which are out of this world. And yep, it's as cheesy as it sounds. Anyway, we'll be back straight after this. Until then, stay with us.
What's got you down, Ogre?
It's my dungeon, Gobbler.
What's wrong with it?
It could be so much more, you know? With more stuff.
It can't be that bad. Let me have a look. No, you've got a nice dunge swamp. full of snakes and spikes. Ah, snakes and spikes. Very nice.
But, I mean, that's it. How am I supposed to attract adventurers with that?
2 words. Dungeon fog.
Dungeon what?
Dungeon fog.
For over 3 years, we have put all our love and determination into making DungeonFog the best battle map making tool out there. Thanks to you, our amazing community, Game Masters can pick from over 10,000 community-created and shared maps, and can turn them into their own epic dungeons to use and share. None of this would have been possible without you. Thank you. And may our tools always help you to create maps your players will never want to leave unexplored.
So, what do you think, Gobbler?
Well, it certainly is different. Different.
Right, that's us. We're back. Hello and welcome to this evening's Project DEIOS, Mapping It Out, where we take you behind the scenes of what is happening in the Project DEIOS world space. If you've just joined us, welcome. A reminder, if you've just joined us for the chat, to put the word question in caps lock in front of your question so that I can see what's happening. And we are dual streaming to Twitch and to YouTube. So if I'm answering questions that don't make sense, well, that's where they're coming from. Anyway, it's great to have you with us this evening. We've got some cool stuff. We're talking patch 0.0511, I should say, as well as, I made the joke earlier, I'm going to make it again, assets that are out of this world. If you can guess what I'm talking about, and probably most of you can, let us know in chat. It's kind of been the theme, actually, of what was in chat for Battlemap Editor. Anyway, and things that are going to make the Romans proud, which we've been talking about for months. So if you don't know what that is, this is the first time to the show, in which case, welcome. Let's get Tillin so we can start answering the questions, talking about the things, and hearing your voice as well. So remember to chat to us in chat. That's what it's there for. Arok, of course, Von rocks a lot. Got it immediately in terms of the assets, but you'll see what they look like. They look amazing. Anyway, here we go. Right, Till, welcome. I mean, you're here already. You know, sort of just sitting there, looking handsome as ever. Patch 0.5.11.
Yes, coming this week.
Coming this week, yes.
Exactly.
Why should we be excited?
Several things. First of all, this is another World Map Editor patch, which means we have a bunch of hot fixes. We also have improved the loading times for starting up the application, because now with more and more assets going in, launching the application is getting slower, because the way that we initially made it, that like all the packs or the assets are preloaded. So we've improved that. So you will definitely experience a much faster boot up. And then there are some performance and stability fixes as always. It will include the new asset pack that we are going to speak about today. It's being tested, if I remember correctly. So it is in QA testing. We're checking if we have any bugs left. I don't think so. So this week, might be Thursday, might be Friday, it will be released to the auto updater, and then you can play around with all the new assets and, of course, with all the other cool stuff that's in the World Map Maker.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, I have a question. I don't know if it's a stupid question or if it's just an ignorant question or if it's just a question. And that question is, let's say, for example, I don't update Project DEIOS because I just choose not to, or I don't have an internet connection or something along those lines. Once I do have my internet connection back, and I still haven't updated it yet, should I still be reporting bugs and issues on older versions? Or would you say, if you're not on the latest version, don't report bugs and issues?
Okay. If you run into a problem, report it. That's the simple answer. We are getting those reports together with the version in which you have reported the bug. Best chances are that if you report the bug and we see that it's an older version, we might just reply to you and say, well, how about you update? It might be fixed already in this or that version. But sure, report it, and our support staff will then help you through eventually needed updates that you might need to run. Yeah.
All right, good to know. Just to let Lensman de Leoncourt know the answer, I have seen your question. I will ask it when we get there. Just like the Romans, be patient. Okay, we're getting there. So, right. Thanks, Till, for that answer. Good to know. Report bugs always.
Yes,
they
please.
might already have been squashed. Now, I did promise you an asset pack that's out of this world. Erok very astutely already guessed it. I mean, most 5-year-olds probably got it too. But it is space travel.
Yes. It is one of those packs that surprised us so much on Kickstarter, because when we gave all the different varieties of what would you like to see, we asked the Kickstarter backers to put their vote on packs. And to our big surprise, space travel made it into the top, whatever, 8, 5, whatever the settings were. So Kiara said, okay, cool, challenge accepted. We will do space travel. And he did, and he delivered. It's an amazing set. And also, I think it makes really cool, like Star Trek-y, land on a planet, and explore alien surroundings for world maps. Really interesting choice. Let's see what you guys can do with it.
I mean, we now know it's almost 60%. There's that ratio of 6 out of 10 maps.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of
whatever the maths is.
Sci-fi enthusiasts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, here we go. Beautiful assets drawn by Kiara. Some familiar shapes in there, which are not called things like Borg cubes and Death Stars, because they're not. But it would be interesting to see what names you could come up with for some of those more familiar shapes. I came up with Terminal Moon. But I feel like that's probably not the best approach for the spherical one. So if you can come up with some better names in chat, please let us know. Because, yeah, Terminal Moon just won't fly. I promise you I'll stop after the show. Right, Till, what's your favorite asset from this collection of assets? Do you have a favorite?
Well, the Techno Cube is really cool.
Techno Cube, okay, I like that. Yes,
but I must say I've been playing around with it when testing, and I really enjoyed the spherical domes when you put them, especially when you kind of do a forest and then have those spherical domes, the glass domes that are kind of looking throughout the forest over top of the treetops. They're really cool. Otherwise, I was actually trying to build my own spaceship, because there are a lot of components that you put together to create your own spaceship. I ran out of time, so my spaceship looked terrible. So there are really cool examples of already pre-made spaceships there as well, who might have landed or crashed on the surface. And keep in mind, depending on what campaign you're running and how serious your game is, even if you're running a fantasy campaign, having a crashed spaceship somewhere in the mountains might be a good laugh at the table, and will definitely be explored by your players.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I do love the fact that those domes, especially the blue domes, come as the separate components. The base of the dome and then the blue spherical dome. Because you can set the transparency of that blue dome down a bit and then see something underneath it. I think that's great. I think that's lovely. All right. Now, we've got some interesting names. We've got the Bjorn Kuhn, which could work. Technocube 2000. We've got the It's Not a Death Star, which I'm not sure if that's actually a name or just not a name.
The anti-life sun.
The anti-life sun. Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll kind of keep working on the names, folks. So, right, let's see. Is this part of it? Well, here's a question from Lensman de Leoncourt. What plans are there for town builder assets? Are there going to be new packs or expansions to previously released packs?
Yes. So that's the short answer. So Keora, as part of the Kickstarter campaign, Keora agreed to create a full town builders pack for the city map maker. But it is most likely going to be just so that we have enough city assets. It's going to be purely fantasy-based cities for now. But there are going to be, because we have Cyberpunk already in the World Map Editor, there's the ancient civilizations are in there. So there's a lot of stuff where you could go like, that might be really cool to have city packs for that. So there's going to be the same as with the Battlemap Editor marketplace. There's going to be a marketplace where you can get more packs for the towns builder as well.
Lovely, lovely. Some more name suggestions. Deathbox, Dyson Sphere. Well, yes, the Dyson Logos Sphere, of course. The Psyker Moon or the Graveyard Moon. I think we're starting to drift into some pretty cool territory here, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right. Okay. So, very cool. Very happy with that. Now, I said the Romans would be happy, and so they certainly are. If you've been watching the show for the past couple of months, you know that the team have been working like madmen possessed on roads. And
yes.
The eternal question, Till. Imagine me sitting in the back seat of your car. My question is, are we there yet?
Are we there yet? Do you have to pee?
Well, now that you mention
it. Sorry. So I think that would be easily answered with the next slide. Because we are well, the next slide.
I knew you were going to say
that. You've also asked for a more detailed roadmap. And now that we are, let's say, almost halfway through the time that we allocated to us, where we said we want to make the city map maker within the summer of this year, so we're not going to make it exactly on time with end of summer. But we've spent a lot of time on roads, and the reason why we did that is because we believe that this is the most critical tool in the upcoming city map maker, because you want to create your cities, your hamlets, your villages. You want to create them by drawing roads, and the buildings will come as you create roads, which I think is a super interesting concept, which by testing it, I feel like I'm going to enjoy it. So we've spent a lot of time at making the roads work as good as possible. And we are now, you can see, I'm not sure if everyone can read it though. I can't read it either. I'll have to quickly open it for myself. Here you go. So the first green bars are done, which is city map. CME, by the way, stands for City Map Editor. Prototyping is done. Road basics are done. UI basics are done. Now the red one was actually costing us time because we've been experimenting and we failed. Or let's say within the time that we gave us for experimenting, it took a bit longer and turned out not to be the right way to go. Which is how do we texture the roads? However, we came up with our alternative. We already had that packed initially, so we finished that one, which is CME texturing version 2, which is done now. And for the past month, we have been working on the road handling because, again, if the roads tool doesn't feel good, I think no one is going to enjoy the tool. So we need to make sure that the roads tool is enjoyable and can do all the tricks that you need to do with it. So that's where we are with the end of the month. There might be a bit of buffer to add in. I think we're going to see it on another slide in a minute. There are a few things for roads handling that we want to tackle to really close the lid on it. But from that on, the drawing of the artery system of the roads will be finished. And remembering what you guys suggested last time in stream, that you would like to get hands on this kind of enclosed pre-alpha build where you can play around with the roads drawing yourself. I discussed that with the team, and we said it's not a problem for us. It's not going to be a public alpha release with the roads tool on the website, but a lot of you guys are giving us feedback through Discord, and you are active on Discord. So once we have done the roads tool, the roads handling tool, once we're happy with it, we will put a demo build on Discord so you can grab that and play around with it. And there will be a little feedback section where you can give feedback on, so we get all your comments and suggestions and ideas on what can we improve to make the handling really feel nice. So, right. And after that, now we're talking about June, July, hopefully not August, but we have to add buffers in there because with programming, especially with programming in our experience, can take longer than we anticipated. We are focusing on, so mainly Ilya is focusing on placing props alongside the road, because again, there has to be an algorithm that kind of detects where can I place buildings, where can I place kind of decorative objects.
Decorative objects.
And while Ilya is doing that, Andre is doing the core updates so that it can run as a separate kind of editor inside DEIOS, not a separate application, but inside the DEIOS application, you want to create world maps and you want to create city maps so that it has its own environment. And with this environment being finished, he will then port over brushes, props, and labels. And we're going to talk much more about those things when they're finished over the summer, like June, July, and then hopefully August, we're done with it. Because after that, all that's left for us before we hand it out as our first city map alpha testing is walls, because we want to do a city walls tool, and water bodies. Of course, you want to have cities next to rivers or on a coast or in an island. And once that is done, we will compile everything, clean up, take your feedback, put it together to have our alpha release. Hopefully by October, we should be finished and handed out.
Lovely. Okay. A couple of questions from my side, but a lot of questions from chat.
Yes.
So let's go through chat questions first. And right, so that one is about assets, which I'm going to come back to. Elias Vernieri says, are districts now off the table?
Districts they didn't make it on the chart because they are kind of fillers where we say, okay, whenever we have time, we will focus on districts, but comparable to biomes on the world map editor, they have the potential to cost us more than a month or 2 months of work, which if we do it now, will push back the release. And I decided that it makes more sense to have what we call an MVP, a minimal viable product, where you can do everything for now. And then we will eventually, I mean, that's what's going to happen afterwards, is we will circle back to World Map Editor and do biomes for the World Map Editor because we want to have them in the final product. And then we're going to jump between projects where we say, okay, now let's do districts. Now let's do this. Andre already has a district prototype. However, it needs tweaking and more understanding for how do roads behave when buildings are placed next to it. So how do districts behave when you create a full district? That I said, don't overpromise things. Let's keep it not on the roadmap for now, which doesn't mean that it's off the board. It just means that it's not going to, it's still happening, but I don't think so. It's more likely that we will release the first alpha of the world map editor without it and then edit later.
Lensman asks, will the road alpha, the alpha basically, be for everyone on Discord or just for pre-approved testers?
No, it's no. This is an internal. You asked me last stream if you could get your hands on the current city map builder beforehand to give feedback, to take influence on where we are heading. So that came up last stream, and I really, back then I said, no, we're going to hand it out when it's done, but it worked with me. I sat down, I thought about it, and I felt like you are really, like you as a community, you're really amazing when it comes to feedback and working with us on this. So why not do it? So we will do an enclosed build, and we'll put it on Discord. For everyone who's on Discord, you can grab it and play around with it. It's not going, it's basically, it's going to be a contained tool, probably just the stage and a roads tool that you can play around with. We're going to see in the demo how it looks like, because I brought a demo of it today. And there are some things like the core needs to be done first before we can hand it out. So expect somewhere between June, July, that we will be ready to hand it to you on Discord as a zip file. Grab it, run it, give feedback on it.
Another question, have there been any discussions on how we will transition between the world builder and the town builder? Will we be able to zoom in like Google, or is it
so,
a tab?
There's actually a concept that we want to explore, which is based on the town that you create. We can create a little representative placeholder that actually features the shape of the town that you can then place on the world map. I like the idea. We have to see how it works with style and aesthetics. When you click on, like, you have a representative icon like a Google pin on your world map, and when you click on that, you're prompted, do you want to enter the city map? And if you then confirm, then you load the city map of that. And the same goes backwards. There will be, like, in one of the upper corners will be an exit where you can go back out. So that's how you can link those things. How they then work in viewers, where you want to show your party those things with Fog of War, we haven't decided yet. We haven't tackled that part yet.
All right. On to some of the more tangentially adjacent questions. No, I'm going to come back to that question later on, because it could still come up as being applicable. So, will backers have to buy town builder assets, such as the Cyberpunk and Ancient Cities assets? Going back to the asset pack.
Going back to the asset packs, yes. That very much depends on what Keora hands out as part of his, like, because he got hired for drawing the assets. He created those settings, and we had that conversation. I can't remember fully what was the outcome of it, but we had that conversation where we said, how are we going to distribute assets between settings? Like, for example, let's say, I can't remember, it was 3,500 or 4,000 assets in total that Keora kind of created for Project DEIOS or wants to create for Project DEIOS. So a lot of them are going into the world builder, and then do we have enough left to create city maps, city assets for all the settings, or would it make more sense to compile them and say, okay, we have a big pack for fantasy, and at some point all the assets are produced, which means everything else that comes after will go into the marketplace.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I have to add one but there, which does not affect lifetime backers, if I remember correctly, because lifetime backers have kind of lifetime marketplace. I'm not 100% certain about that. I'll have to double check that, but lifetime backers might be out of that.
Question from Roger Ball: are there plans to have top-down views of these assets, or versions of these assets?
You mean the world map assets?
Assets,
sorry, that's a question.
Because even the city, the world map assets, absolutely, yes, top-down view of the world map assets.
Depending, I think some of them will get top-down views, some of them don't, because the way that assets are created, the way that they are artistically drawn, they might have a representation on the world map, because a tree is a tree. You can have the tree on the isometric view, and you have the tree top down. But then there are things like, for example, the graves, right? Doesn't make sense to have a top down of a grave on a city map scale. So some of them will be represented. Some of them are just only world map or only city map.
Right, there was another question here. Damien the DM asks, where can we get the slides without your heads in the way?
So I will post the summary of the Kickstarter, like of the mapping it out, as always on Kickstarter as part of a Kickstarter update. But I have to say but here, it will take a bit of time, because tomorrow I'm packing to go to Birmingham. And when I'm back from Birmingham, I have a well-deserved break for myself. And I'll be back on June the 12th. And once I have worked myself through all the emails and all the stuff that has been going on while I was away, then I will sit down and write a summary of all of that. And then you'll find it on the Kickstarter update.
All right, perfect. Last question. Is Kaora more or less on board for infinite asset creation, continued contract work post the release of DEIOS?
So Kaora is constantly doing more assets on his Kaora.com channel. So he's creating assets. He's also creating assets for the DungeonFog Marketplace. And he therefore is definitely also going to create world map assets for DEIOS. However, with his involvement in Foundry, Kaora is a busy man, so it needs time and planning to get those things working. And I will definitely not speak for Kaora to say, oh yeah, sure. So he and I are friends. So when we chat, we're like, yeah, okay, sure, there will be more packs and we'll have to time and plan them. But he's definitely not like Tony, who's really contracting on a monthly basis for us. That's just not possible with Kaora. So it won't be on a monthly schedule for his assets. It's more on a request demand delivery basis.
All right. A new question. Was the caveat about lifetime DEIOS good for lifetime pledges or bad for lifetime pledges? I didn't quite understand the issue.
Oh, good. It was good. The caveat was good.
All right. Okay. Right, so hang on a moment. There's another question here which may be getting a little bit too technical on this whole issue, but let's see. Regarding the Battlemap Editor, has Chaora explored the idea of linking their assets to the editor as FA has?
Excuse me, what?
FA, who's the other creator?
Wait, let me see if I can. Where was it? More or less about. Okay.
Lord God just asked the question. Lord God asking complicated questions. You see what happens? You just break everything.
Explore the idea of linking their assets to the as Forgotten Adventure has. Okay.
Yes.
So, Lord God, you're talking about the world map assets. You're talking about the battle map assets. I'm not sure. So the
editor.
Yeah, the Battlemap. I mean, Chaora is already putting his assets on the marketplace for the Battlemap Editor, and the world map assets will eventually go on the marketplace as well, because that's where you can get new packs for the world map editor and the city map editor. But since DEIOS is still in development, we didn't want to just complicate things by putting assets up there that are not really usable in the Battlemap editor. They're not the style for the Battlemap editor. So that will happen to a later time.
All right. Great questions. Lots of discussion that came out of that one. So, moving forward, we know that textures were a bit of a problem for the roads.
Yes. So that's the red bar, again, as a reminder, that's the red bar where we've been, March basically was experimenting, and we have been looking at how can we make roads look nice, and also, most important part, how can we make intersections look nice?
That's right.
So our first approach was using the same technology that we have in the Battlemap Editor, which is paths. And paths look great when you draw them, but whenever paths start to intersect, it's getting a bit of a problem. So Ilya actually sat down and tried to write something that merges those textures and morphs them into each other. And he was playing around with it, and he was spending a lot of time on it until I then eventually had to call a stop to it. Because regardless of what we tried and did, it was always a distorted and bended texture in the intersection. Here we just see a double cross, like two roads intersecting, but it gets even weirder when more intersections take place. So our approach of using a directional texture was just not fruitful. We weren't happy with the results. Whatever we tried, it didn't look great whenever it came to intersections. So we said, okay, what if we combine those two ideas and we use non-directional textures, so seamless on all our sides, to create what we can, what we can see here, to create something as a baseline of the road. And then we use directional textures to create specific outlines, because that's, I think, what makes road look cool, is when you have those grassy or rocky or pavementy outlines.
Uneven.
Yeah. So what we did was when we create a road, we basically do 4 components. Component number 1 is a non-directional texture as the background, which in our example now is this yellow cobblestone. This is just a working texture that we have internally for testing stuff. And then we have the 2 outlines, which are actually paths. So they are directional textures that are getting bended alongside the roads. And then what you're not seeing in here, we have a 4th, which is a hidden center line, where we can put additional graphics on, like for example the dashed road sign lines, or cartwheel tracks or whatsoever. So that is how we're doing it right now, and we're happy with the result. I think it looks pretty cool. We're going to see it in the demo later. So we've ticked that one off. We said, okay, graphic testing is done. We can do it. We can do it with several different textures and styles. Now we need to work on the handling and make sure that modifying those roads also feels cool.
I'm not going to pretend that I understood half of what you said, half as well as I should have. But it sounds cool. I'm going to say it's the magic of the wizards in the programming studio. It does look pretty cool, I think. And if you manage to understand that, well, 10 points to you. All right. So till this slide here, road handling, you've been talking about it quite a bit.
Yes.
What's happening here?
Well, the interesting part is that we're down to 3 things left to actually make the road artery system drawing tool complete. And that is docking roads to other roads so that it kind of snaps to a road instead of, it's just a usability thing where you can say, okay, I can snap it to the next road and it automatically connects. Blending. What if 2 roads with different textures intersect? How do we blend them? What happens there? This is probably the more challenging task of both of them.
Well, that's a pretty simple answer. What happens is that the authorities put up a very badly and obscure sign saying danger, road surface changing, and it just suddenly stops. We know this is how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works in real life. But I think as aesthetics, as graphic designers, as map designers, we want to kind of blend them from one into the other, make transitions there. So that's of course something that we want to still experiment with. Then of course we need to produce different road styles because we have been working with our sample textures. Now we need to create more different varieties out of it. And our roads don't have proper endings yet. So they're just cut off at the moment, but they should also, this kind of related to the blending part, they should transition nicely into terrain if a road just ends in a forest or if a road just bleeds out into the terrain. So you should be able to pick different ending types to roads.
Makes sense.
But apart from that, we're done. I feel like now it's just tweaking usability and workflow feeling.
Getting it. Okay. Last question here. No, I spoke too soon. In the future, will we be able to use custom textures for creating or modifying roads? I'm sort of thinking of roads that are damaged with cracks or things like that.
That was another big requirement from our side, where we said, how can we make a tool that also allows users to upload their own stuff? Because if our roads, and the same goes for the buildings that are placed alongside the road, if that tool gets too complex, because we're basically, you need to have a builder to build assets that work with DEIOS, then that's not very useful. So the answer is yes, because what you can do is you can upload, or you should be, you can't do it yet, but what you should be able to do is you can pick different textures for the road center part, and you can upload, of course, your own textures for it. And then you have the sideline segments. They might be at the beginning, they might be fixed from our side to a few different styles that you can pick to create the outlines alongside the road. But since this is just a long image that is bendable, we will eventually open that up so that you can either create something like a 3 or 4 image pack that works with it, or you have a little picker system where you can pick texture for this, pick texture for that.
There you are. Will roads be layered or be able to be layered on top of each other so that one might have, intersections or roads crossing over each other on bridges and things like that?
Not yet. We've been thinking about this. Our solution to it right now is that you will have bridges that you can place down on top of the road to visually represent that. But roads, like when roads intersect, our core priority is to make sure that they look like they merge into each other. So we're trying not to overcomplicate it by now saying, but sometimes they don't, they go over or under. So there will be certain assets for that that you can place on a road. And you will be able to layer them, like you can layer assets with the set index already. But there's no, I would say, most likely not yet, not for the MVP version of it. There's no logic of making a above or below road.
All right. Does the roads in as a category include paths and footpaths and trails, for example?
Yes. It's we're looking at roads basically as whatever mean to travel. So that could be a trampled footpath, that could be a cobblestone or highway interstate road. That's not the point. The point is how wide is it and what kind of texture uses it. But we will hand all of that to you so you can switch and decide how you want to style those roads.
Another question which I'm going to modify slightly, so forgive me if I'm taking it in the wrong direction, but I think this is really the question. Will the roads be able to have props and things put on top of them as well?
Yes,
so
of course.
We could add cracks or jumbled bits and bobs and that sort of thing.
Yes, we're going to see it in the demo.
Oh, well, there we go. And so slide says demo. I think it's time for the demo. So Till, you know what to do. In 3, 2, 1, switch.
Ta-da! And green screen.
And I need to turn off the green screen. Yes, the magic of complications.
Okay, so here is a demo of the current state, and as you can see, if I pick a building, of course, everything can be placed on top of roads. So even if you have cracks or barrels or carts or whatever you want to place on top of the road, you can do so. And now probably if I zoom in, I hope we can zoom. Yeah, that's the closest I can get at the moment. Probably you can now better understand of what I mean when I say I have a center texture and then I have those outlines. Because if I want to, let's intersect that one. So I've added an intersection point here. And when I move it, as you can see, hopefully you can, those paths are curving alongside the road. So we have the means to create different styles to really create a road that has contours. Because I think that's, personally, that's one of the biggest weaknesses that I've seen on other tools, is that the only way to create roads is with brushes that are kind of transparent, soft edged. But you probably want to have those curvatures. And if I want to have it rounded, I've switched to rounded mode now, so I can create it rounded here. And as you can see, they're not properly docked yet. That's something that so if I take that one, that's just an undocked road. But once the docking is there, it would snap to the nearest point, which means that if I move the nearest point, undo, what did I do here? Which could be potentially this one. So if I move this point, because it's docked, this one would automatically follow. And again, the idea is that whatever is free space available will then be auto-populated with buildings. So that's the road system currently in the works. So I could potentially, I could go up here. I can take this road and I can, by the way, here you can see that I can This is a bit buggy at the moment, but I can change road sizes too. So I can put it here. And as you can see, the second that it intersects, it automatically creates a nice transition here. So it's now I'm changing road sizes here, but unfortunately I'm also changing it for the back here. So that's a very neat way to create. So if I want to, let's continue that road here for now. If I want to create a new road, I can just do it like this, or I can switch to curved, and now now I should be able to create a curvature. I can, of course, go into freehand and go like, okay, now I'm doing this. And I can adjust them. I can, what is it? Remove? Yes, I can remove. It's not on the right-click menu yet. It's for me, it's hotkeys at the moment, and I had to learn them. They will be hotkeys for you too, but they will be on the right-click menu as well. So if you want to remove a point, you can do that. If you want to add a new point, I can't remember, what was it? I can add a new point. I think I can split a road. Yes, I can. And of course I should be able to join it back up. Yes. So that's what you can do with the roads tool at the moment. And it is, I've been playing around with it, and I feel like it's already really intuitive to do it. It gets a bit tricky with the roads connecting to each other. Like, for example, I think, let me see if I can find it. Like this is, because he connected a road to another one, this now is one road. That wasn't intended on my end. It should have been one single road here and then another single road there. I can still split it, but those are the things that we need to work on now. This is where we want to finish handling, is making it feel super cool. By the way, I used, let me see, there you go. I used the old map that we have from the Kickstarter campaign as kind of a reference. I think that looks pretty neat when you go into it and you look at it and you see, oh, okay, now the road artery system makes sense, because those are all going to be buildings here that we're going to fill up. And again, this is the whole prop alongside the road placement part that we still need to do.
Okay. This is great. It looks great, I think. And everyone's saying, there's a wonderful comment here. A huge thank you for the entire team. You've consistently exceeded my expectations, and I'm hard pressed to find a more transparent approach to overall design. I think it really does look good. Now, there's a suggestion from Jorama that will there be a road asset, or assets, from what I can understand, of being able to draw another road on top of this existing road, but that would consist of things like cracks, potholes, damage, and so on. So effectively, it's just drawing a road on top of a road, but the texture pack of the other road is variant, I guess.
Yes. So what's coming next is, you've seen it on the slides, that was the brush tool. In the world map editor, the brush tool is a color brush, which makes sense on a world scale, because you want to add different color variations. You not really want to add textures to a world map, although this eventually will be available on world maps too. For cities, however, colors don't make so much sense. Textures make much more sense. So if you want to add cracks to a road, I think you go to will be the brush tool, where you can then color like cracked textures onto your roads, for example. But of course, there will be different variations for each road, like super clean cobblestone, wasted down, deteriorated cobblestones, things like that. There will be different variations for that you can use too.
Okay, I think that answers that one. Will there be support for roundabouts, circular roads with the additional release? I kind of think you've already got roundabouts, don't you?
Yes, it's a bit hacky at the moment. I'm pretty sure we can do better. But if I did a roundabout here, for example. So if you want to do something like that, right now you actually have to draw the circle. But we want to have something like roundabout options for intersections. So when you select an intersection where two roads dock together, we want to give you on the right-click menu, we want to give you options for that. To say like, do you just want to intersect, or do you want to create a town square, or do you want to create a roundabout town square?
Okay. Will there be any focus on UI readability in the Linux version?
Do you? Probably. I don't know. Honestly, Linux is not so much. Linux is not so much my expertise here. That is where Andre is based on. That would be a great suggestion, feedback that you can give us if you specify what exactly is needed, like font size, for example. Do you need bigger font sizes, or do you need different colors? Because we already have started in the World Map Editor to build our preference tools, and that will definitely be part of the preference, because I believe that if you're talking about something like that, where you want to adjust font sizes or specific colors, have a different color mode, that's not just something for Linux, that's something for all systems.
There you go. Would we have some kind of automatic style for distinct roads importance and style transition? Distinct roads or district roads? I think it's written distinct, but district roads might have a different style, perhaps?
I think it might be district roads importance or distinct roads importance and style transitions.
So if you think about like if you talk about making the dependency between the road width and a texture that might, or a road style that might be associated with that width, then I think that is a really cool idea, because we could, and we've always been thinking about the way that we distinguish between alleyway roads, main roads, side roads, mainly by their width and their texture. So combining those two and saying that if a road gets wider than a certain threshold, then it changes its texture into, let's say, a cobblestone road. But if it goes beneath that threshold, it becomes a dirt road. That might be a tick box, and it's easily doable. Like, it's not complex to change the texture based on the road width. So having that idea definitely goes into my box of things I can throw at Ilya.
All right. Question from Dragon: can you port in a real city map?
Only as a blueprint. Unfortunately, to be honest, there has been, because we have been talking about importing height maps for world maps, and what types of formats can we read on importing, and we have been talking about SVG formats. So there might be, if you're able to export a city map, a real city map as SVG, then we might be able to read that information back into the world map, the city map editor. The important part is we need to understand the road. And if the road is an SVG path, then yes, then we can do it. If the road is just pixel mesh, then we would have to write an interpreter first, which kind of works if you can turn it into black and white, then our interpreter would be able to interpret things. But it's, again, I think this is something that we can play with once we have the core system running.
All right. Just very quickly, there can be no confirmation or denial of anything that may have anything to do with topographic information. It is neither denied, confirmed, or was even said. It's just something that was in your head. Right. There are some other questions here. Who do we have to bribe to get hover over intro text for tools and options, even if it's as simple as the name and a potential hotkey?
Are you not seeing? You should be seeing it. You have hover states. Are you talking about this?
That's what it says. Who do we have to bribe to get hover over into text for tools and options, even if it's simple as the name and potential hotkey? It's already there. So there you go. You don't have to bribe anyone.
Well, maybe I misunderstood. So if you're on Discord, you can of course put the same question and define it. Put it in our world map chat there on Discord. If we're missing what your point, then clarify on Discord and we can look at it. Because whatever helps you to understand how the tool works will help everyone. So we're happy for all this feedback.
All right, and another suggestion would be to be able to change the size of the fonts to make reading easier for some of us that are older, perhaps, or just for general ease of use. Right. Another question, which I think is actually quite appropriate, is Till actually going to recreate the city that is shown on the City Builder slide inside the City Builder?
Yes, I'm doing the city inception.
But well, that is the goal, isn't it? It's the goal.
So I would say a very easy trap that you can fall in as developer is that you're doing a tool and like I can't remember how often we have spent developer talks where we have been doing like, oh, the roads tool is finished. Look, I can do this and then that and then this and then that, and I'm happy. And everyone's like, clap, 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 clap. Great, tool is done. But then no one sits down and actually tries to create a full map with it, because that's where you then find the tricky bits. So Ilya, with the tectonic system, Ilya actually created, I think, 3 or 4 maps from Keora as world maps, recreated them with the tectonics tools to see if it actually works, if he can create it. And we are doing the same thing here with city maps. We're not just doing one city map, we're doing several city maps, because this, to be fair, this is kind of a very fantasy-esque city layout, more in the line of European, medieval European style. But there are tons of different city architecture types, and we just need to make sure that you can do them and that they feel intuitive when you draw them. So yes, we're testing by drawing city maps.
All right. We've seen fantasy roads and with sci-fi assets. Are there going to be modern roads with intersections and street lamps?
Yes. So the thing is, we don't have modern roads in there yet, so I can't show it right now. But there will be, so street lamps, that's actually a clever idea. I'll think about it. Putting them into the road design. Not sure if I want to do that though, because I feel like they should be props. We'll think about it.
I would not want
street
to put
lamps.
Street lamps.
I haven't been thinking about street lamps. I'll spend some thoughts on it. Roads with road signs like like again, the center dashed line or crosswalks, yes, those things will be coming.
All right. And then, I mean, this is very much the future, I'm sure. What about highways, like 4-lane roads or 6-lane roads or 8-lane roads? Are we going to have to draw multiple paths, or would we just have one path where we can just apply a texture?
Yeah, that's another edge case I actually haven't really thought about yet, because in undo that. I mean, I can do a whatever 35 road width, and now I have a highway going here. However, how do I create several? No, it's not a big problem actually, because we still, where you see the dotted lines here, or you don't because I zoomed out. Where you see the dotted lines, that's where our hidden invisible center path lies. Now, if we put just two, it's the same like a cartwheel track. If we put 2 dashed lines there, there you go, and you have a highway. Not a problem. Solved. Ha! Sorry, I'm getting tired here.
There you go. All right. I think this is a fantastic, fantastic demonstration of the road systems. It's looking great. I think there's still a lot of things that could be looked at, like when you look at the walls, for example, will those be able to auto snap to the road so that I don't have to draw the walls and then try and draw the road next to the walls and shakily, wobbly, have gaps and things. Anyway, all that kind of wonderful stuff. I think that's all for future shows, because we have come to the end of today's show. So, Till, do you have any final thoughts other than this beautiful, beautiful roadmap that you have shown us, quite literally and figuratively as well?
Well, to be completely honest, my thoughts are slowly transitioning into, oh no, I forgot to do laundry. I need to pack tomorrow. Did I order a cab for the airport? What do I need to pack to go to Birmingham? So pushing my attention back to here, guys, whatever you have, come to Discord, chat with us. You have such a great, all those streams give such great feedback. It would be amazing to have those conversations on Discord. So if you want to join us on Discord, if you aren't there yet, go to dungeonfog.com/Discord, sign up, join the community, be there, chat with us. I can't wait to get your feedback on the new backgrounds from the Battlemap Editor. I would love to see what you can do with that. I hope that I can see more and more of them getting into the community spotlights. Share some maps of your creations from the new world map assets. We would love to see them. So keep an eye out. There will be announcements, mainly on Discord, I assume, once the new patch goes live, because again, somewhere this week, we will release the new my brain is gone.
Patch.
No, asset pack, but I forgot what it's called. It's called something space travel. There you go. The space travel, the anti-life sun pack will be released this week. So make some maps, share them with us. And apart from that, Guy, it was great to have you back. Thank you very much.
Good to be back.
I'm out.
All right. Well, there we go. Hopefully we'll see you at UK Games Expo here in London. Not in London, in Birmingham this weekend. If you are traveling from London, there are train strikes planned, so you're going to have to either take a bus or a car or a horse, or you have to walk it. Google suggested that I walk. It's only going to take me 5.5 days to walk, so I should have left last week. Anyway, from us here at the studios, thank you for participating. Your wonderful questions, of course, and we will see you next month when we come back for more. So all that's left to say is...
Happy map making!
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say